What's up, man? Hello, hello.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hear me? Yeah, man, no problem, no problem. Hello, Chantel and Alan. What's up, guys? Sorry, we're just trying to make sure we got a good connection here, and we'll get started with Damian Wyldes. Uh, if you don't know who Damian Wyldes is, he's a local El Paso artist, and he's won some awards and Grammy nominated, and he's got a lot of awesome songs out right now. Um, and I will be putting his info on the comment section. Also, remember if you're doing a live Q&A, so if you have questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll read them to Damien, and he'll answer whatever questions you have. We got some more people. Jay Flynn, birthday bro, what's up? What's up? All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining, man. I know it's been a while.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know, how's this pandemic treating you, man?
Well, I could complain, but why would I?
Yeah.
Well, pretty much had a bunch of stuff canceled this year, but still holding up. Still looking forward for what's to come once everything clears up a little bit.
Yeah, man, that's totally cool. I mean, like I talked with Brian last week, my other guest, and we were talking about how the pandemic really just like affected a lot of musicians, with concerts and gigs. I mean, I remember you were telling me you had a tour coming, right? Like you guys had a tour planned out.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. We had a tour planned out. We had something in March that didn't go through, and then we had they're like European tours, so
Yeah.
not cool. I really wanted to be out there. Recently, the most recent one was in August. I was supposed to be touring in the UK, and that got canceled as well as something going on at the Lincoln Center in December. So that got canceled. Well, that didn't get canceled. It got moved to like next year in December. So
Yeah, definitely. We got Chantel Kimus joining us in the chat. What's up, Chantel? We got Wild Wolf Devin. What's up, buddy? We got Gabriel. We got Ruben. Hey, y'all. Welcome. We got Tattoo Ling Inc. joining. What's up? Cool. We got cool, man. Well, yeah, like I said, I think a lot of like with this pandemic going on, a lot of are starting to be, like live streaming. That's kind of where the technology kind of comes in. Like, it's a new thing now. It's not even like before where it was like live stream wasn't as popular.
yeah.
I think in a few months, going into the year, definitely live streaming is going to be something big. But do you think you'd be doing any live streaming concerts soon? Like, any kind of like full band, or maybe I know you've done a couple by yourself, but
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully I can get a full band one coming in. I mean, we've already started rehearsing with the full band again. I've got a show coming up on the 4th at the Rock House. So
cool.
yeah, it's all social distance and whatever, but should be kind of fun.
Yeah,
It should be kind of interesting. It's a rock place, so I'm sure I'm gonna be playing with a bunch of bands, with a bunch of rock bands. But hey, I like doing weird stuff like that. You just don't fit in, and people just it makes it stand out even more because it's already whatever I do is already kind of unusual, So whenever I get a chance to do something in an even more unusual environment, it's even better. It's almost like a challenge to show people something different, Because a lot of times they go and they're just expecting the same thing all the time.
of course.
Doing
Yeah,
something a little bit different.
yeah, and that's what I like, about your music. It's really different. It's not just your average like rock and roll garage band type thing. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that, because I mean I'm a rocker guy, I like rock music stuff. But
Yeah.
I first heard your stuff. I saw your first of all I saw the setup that you had. It was a upright bass player, a trumpet player, a washboard player, and then who else? You got a fiddle player, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then you on vocals and guitar. So I was like, man, this is totally different. And I think the first time I heard you was at Sullen Park when we had that whiskey and bourbon fest.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that was last year, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, when I heard it, I was like, wow, man, this guy got something different, like than all the other bands. Uh, I mean, and you would describe it what like as a folk, like the Americana type, right?
Well, yeah, yeah. Whenever I've submitted like for Grammy nomination stuff like that, it's submitted into like American roots.
Hmm.
So I mean, I could say pretty much folk or Americana kind of,
Yeah,
but the vocals are very bluesy, you
yeah,
know.
gotcha.
So it just kind of has different taste of different things in there.
Yeah, I mean, and and then you add like the trumpet too, which kind of makes it sound a little jazzy. You got
Yeah,
different styles influencing and stuff. Um,
yeah.
cool. Well, definitely, we have a lot, to discuss, and I like to try to keep it within the hour because, I don't want to have to like reconnect. But I mean, let's just kind of get to it, man. So like, what was kind of your start? What got you into music? What was your take on?
Well, funny thing is, I actually come from like a musical family. Like my dad was like he already rest in peace or whatever. He was a rock guitarist.
Okay.
So I mean, he toured like ever since he was like 15 years old in Mexico, playing rock, which is super like not. He was like one of the pioneers of like rock en español.
Wow.
Yeah. So and then my grandfather, may he also rest in peace. He played the organ, so he was an organ player,
Okay.
and and like all my dad's side of the family were musicians, and it's kind of interesting that a lot of them are now still musicians. They all studied violin. I have a lot of violinists in my
Nice.
dad's side of the family, um, but a lot of them were like they went on to do different things. Like I know I have a cousin that I think is going into teaching as far as like music.
Okay.
But for the most part, I'm the generation that has had like, oh, I'm a lifer musician, you know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
my dad was like a lifer musician, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna play. Like my dad was like, he played rock and roll until he died, literally. So it was like one of those weird things where it's like in the blood. So that it just took to me naturally, and it was pretty funny because as I was growing up, I didn't play like I was in the kid that was pushed because I have two siblings, and I was in the kid that was pushed to like, oh, you've got to learn this instrument or you've got to do this and you've got to do that. I was like the middle kid and I was like left alone for some weird reason. They're like, oh, you're not gonna be musical. It was like weird, and then like I was like on my own. I went out and like I joined orchestra and like I picked the bass, the upright bass, which was my first instrument. I just started playing
Nice.
from there, and then go ahead.
That you were raised, kind of in. I mean, you're just in that background, and then you got to do like the school thing, right? Like the whole music and kind of like learning the classical part of it. Um,
Uh,
I see little Anakin right there. Say hi to Anakin, everybody. Little got the cat right here. Um,
yeah,
but
he can't see me on the phone or on video chat because he wants to jump in all the time. He's been sitting right there. He's been literally sitting like on the armrest up here. He's kind of waiting for me to grab him.
oh man, but
Yeah.
like I was saying, man, definitely, it's cool that you got that background, and then I guess from there, you said you started with the rock band, right? Like you weren't a solo artist.
Oh yeah, yeah. I played in every band I could start. I mean, I played. I was trained classically for a while, and I was going to go to university and keep studying, but I really didn't want to. By then, I already knew that I was like a singer songwriter. So I was already playing the guitar, things like that, and I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do.
Yeah,
And what I ended up doing was I did starting to play in a bunch of bands. So I played in a bunch of bands. Even one of them where we would go on tour and be like on tour for like 6 months at a time. It was pretty nuts. It's pretty
nice,
cool. Yeah.
cool, man. And so, like, so with songwriting though, did you always like to write songs before, or did you just kind of,
Yeah. No,
start?
no. I always wrote songs. Ever since I grabbed the guitar, like I was literally writing songs.
Nice, cool. And so then I guess with that, you decided to kind of just like after you did your own band thing. You just wanted to do like a solo, more of a solo thing, and have your own material. I'm sure, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was a kind of a difficult. It was kind of a difficult road because as a songwriter, like you, especially if you don't know how to write songs correctly,
Yeah.
you've kind of if there's like a big learning curve because you've got to figure out how to write stuff, and then you've got to figure out how to how to write good content, and you've got to realize how to write it from like really really from your heart, kind of to
Yeah.
where you can convey it to people when they hear it, and then you've got to figure out how to write stuff in your right vocal range as a singer, you know. So it's like there's like a bunch of stuff involved,
It's a lot.
and then
Yeah.
and then like myself, I had to become honest with myself and realize the kind of music that fits my vocals better. So that kind of took a long time and a long process. If you look at my like discography, there's like different types of music in there, like kind of acoustic, electric, kind of a electro pop. It's like a bunch of different stuff. And what I'm doing now is kind of like more of the true form of what I'm supposed to be doing. Definitely.
Most definitely. And also for our viewers, I'm gonna put. Sorry, I know I'm typing, but I'm gonna put Damian Wyldes' music. Uh, Follow. That's his Instagram. If you don't know already, give him a follow. Check out his music. You have all that good stuff.
Well,
Sorry, you broke up. I was all like, where did you go? You kind of broke. But cool. So you got iTunes, Spotify, and all that, right? You know.
yeah,
Well,
you got everything. Even
uh,
band.
cool. And I was going to talk about your most recent song that you released is "As We Fall," right? If I'm not
Yep. As we fall.
cool, man. How's I noticed on your Facebook, you're always posting like that you get a lot of plays like in other parts of the country, right? On like
Yeah.
there. What like okay, so what was your first song that got played like somewhere else?
Well, before when I in my last album that I recorded, which was like electropop,
Yeah.
I had that thing playing everywhere internationally for a while. So it actually didn't do well here, but like I was doing interviews in
Yeah.
Italy, in like Australia, like just a bunch of places, like New Zealand, Germany. It's just like everywhere they would play, like they were very electropop friendly. So
Yeah.
I was doing a bunch of interviews and getting a lot of airplay there. Um, but from the new music that I've written, um, most of the songs that I have gotten played internationally. The one that got really big, well, I have two songs that got good attention. One of them being "Disengage," which
Okay.
was like last year, and that song hit like a #2 on one of the lists on in the Netherlands. And
Dang.
then, so that was pretty cool, and it kind of rose like little by little to that #2 spot. So I was really excited. So ever since like 2 years ago, I was trying to get out there to the Netherlands
Yeah,
to
man.
tour, and then recently I had this other song from last year, "Greed." That song did really well to the point to where it hit #1, and it was kind of cool because I very clearly remember what was this band? There's a band that's like super famous out there. I can't remember what their name is. Who cost me?
Yeah.
I forgot what their name is.
Yeah.
Um, at Ramstein. So Ramstein is like super famous out. They're like gods out there. Right? So when I hit #2 and I was like excited about it, I literally had like two separate people write to me and were like, "It's like, hey, don't get too excited, dude. Ramstein is like a god out there. So don't get excited. That's as far as it's gonna go." And because they were like #1, I was #2, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, I was just excited because it was #2. You know what I mean? And then like the next time the list came out, I was like #1, and they were like #2, and it was kind of funny. I was like, yeah, exactly, like blown away. I was like,
Yeah.
no, it was
That's awesome.
insane.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's cool because I like for me being a musician, I know a lot of countries outside of the U.S. and I'm not trying to the United States, but I know like other countries, international countries, they kind of have an appreciation for music, like any type of genre. It's not it's not really just like, oh, we like this certain genre, like, you know, the mainstream. Like they, you know, I think Europe and other parts definitely enjoy just any type of music. Um, and so, you know, that's awesome. Like, you know, you get a lot of recognition internationally, and I'm sure people are like, man, they look you up. They're like, you know, they notice that you're here in the U.S. But definitely, man, that's. And I know, did you get so like with that? You know, did you end up getting more plays like here in the U.S. after you kind of got a breakthrough over there, or not really? Did that, you know, make?
Not really, because Alan was doing really good. I mean, I won an ISSA award for that song for single of the year last year,
Yeah,
and I won a WSA award for what was it outlaw song, something like that. So
okay,
it's pretty cool because it sounds pretty outlaw. So I got it. I was like, oh, cool, cool.
yeah,
So so that was cool. I mean, coincidentally, like that award was the ISSA awards were like on the same day that we had our shooting at Walmart.
oh,
So I wasn't even here that day. I was in Atlanta, so it was kind of weird. It was kind of bittersweet because I was like, yeah, I won, but at the same time, I was really more concerned about everything that was happening here. So I didn't really get to like enjoy it as much. You know what I mean?
yeah, man. You know that I remember that day because you know, I mean, if any of the viewers don't know, I actually do work with Damian at his studio. So I'm a drum set instructor at River Moon Records. Shout out to River Moon. Um, but yeah, you know, I was teaching that day, and Damien was out of town, and that whole day, man, August 3rd was really just a shocker to everyone. I know you definitely took it pretty hard, man. You know, because you just won an award, right? You know, you won the what was it for again? What was the
It was a single of the year.
yeah, single of the year, right?
Yeah.
Um, Man, that I can't imagine that, you know, that feeling where it's like, oh yeah, I did something good, but then something happened back home where it was like, oh man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember flying back. Most of the time I was like flying back, and it was just like I don't know, like I'd have to hold back from crying like I'm like while I was walking to get the plane because it's just like awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like a weird feeling.
yeah, man, that's crazy. I mean, I definitely know the feeling. You know, that was a tough day, and I think it's, you know, it's still a tough day, and we're always going to remember and never forget that. Try
Yeah.
rest the souls of our victims. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, so the ISSA, right? Correct? What one single of the year for? With that, or was it another? What was the workplace called for the award?
Hold
Show?
on, what was your question? You were cutting off.
The so the single of the year you won it with the ISSA, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and what do they stand for? Or what who are they? Or you know?
It's the International Songwriter Association.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so did you have to submit your song to them? Like, was it a
Yeah,
competition? Okay,
yeah, just like every award, you have to kind of submit to them, and they have to accept the song, and then they vote on it and all that.
that's
Yeah,
cool, man. And so for you to get all those votes, you know, like from different people, and you
yeah,
know,
that's great. Probably the best thing was hearing because they had like the what do you call it? The awards were like really well set up. So they had like these two huge scrolls on the sides, and then like whoever was like winning awards, they have like a setup where the song would play and like their name would come out, and it
yeah,
was like it was really cool. So like when I won, and they it was single of the year gold award, which is like the best one. Uh, like my name came out and the song played, and they were it was just like it
and
was
you
pretty cool. It was like.
okay, you're all walking on like to the
Yeah, and
stage.
I got to like walk up and give like a little speech, which was weird because I actually wanted to. I had something prepared just in case, but um, I wanted to. I really couldn't think of anything, but once I was up there, I kind of flubbed it because I was kind of thinking of past
Kind
and
of
everything
like,
that happened. Yes, I wanted to talk about that, but at the same time, I kind of didn't want to be such a downer, because everybody
yeah,
were on boards, So I was like, I'll just go through it real quick. So, like I said, it was kind of bittersweet a little bit.
dang man, that's crazy. Um, So then, also recently, you did go to the Grammys, right? Was it this year that you went?
Yeah, yeah. In January this year started off with a bang. I
Yeah.
was I
How?
had been invited to play at two pre-Grammy showcases out there.
Okay.
So when I decided to also go to the Grammys, I mean, might as well. I was there, which turned out pretty cool. There's a funny story to it if you want to hear it. Well, not really funny, just cool.
Yeah.
I was out there and we performed at the Portal Theater that was set up by the Indie Collaborative, which is
Cool.
a collaborative that I belong to. They're super cool. Which, by the way, today is Mr. Malloy's birthday out there, so happy birthday, I don't know if he's watching. But he's the founder of the Indie Collaborative. So, what basically what they did is they did have like a huge performance at the El Portal Theater, and we were pretty much almost the headliner. So we were like I think we were like right before the last ones were like the founders, and they were gonna sing something too. So it was pretty cool. So we were like the main spot, and I took all the musicians and we all went out there and we did our thing. I think there's a video on there somewhere. But everybody we had a packed theater. It was at the El Portal Theater in Hollywood, and everybody that was there pretty much were members of the Recording Academy and voting members, most of them.
So
So
technically, the Grammys, it was just a mini
yeah,
Grammy.
it was a lot of people that I've already had talked to and that I've already had networked with, and that they already knew me. So it was really really cool to meet a lot of those people in person. And but the funny thing is, like afterwards, the day after, I mean that was one of the performances. The other one was at a hotel, and it was kind of cool as well. But the funny thing is that the next day at the Grammys, I was walking around, and every little moment that I would like move from one place to another, somebody that I had already met the day before and touch base with and like was, hey, how are you? Every like 5 minutes I was getting stopped and hey, how are you? It's like, hey, your performance last night was great, blah blah blah, this and that. And they're like taking pictures and stuff, and so much so that people were like, hey, who is this guy? Like they were like, I could see people like on their phone trying to figure out who I am. And so it's like, oh, this is cool. In fact, during the intermission, because there's like the untelevised Grammys and the televised Grammys. So in between the Grammys, the intermission, I was sitting down and having something to drink, and I bought some sushi, and I was just sitting there, and I had somebody walk up and sit down, and we started talking, and turns out that well they talk Spanish and I'm fluent in Spanish, so we just started talking. Hey, pretty cool, whatever. And you could tell they're like either Argentinian or from Spain or something like that. Well, two other people show up, and you could tell that they're together, and we're talking. It's cool, you know what I mean? So I asked them finally, like, what do they do? And then they're like, oh, well, we're Rosalia's representatives from Sony. And I was like, oh, that's pretty big, pretty cool, right? So I'm like, oh, wow, nice to meet you. So the way I am, I'm just very like casual about everything. So I'm just like, yeah, cool, nice to meet you. That's awesome. And then sure enough, like people start showing up and they're like, hey, let me take a picture with you, blah blah blah, your performance from last night, this and that. And they were like kind of tripping out about it because really there was like really nobody that was getting stopped in that way. You know?
Yeah.
Like
That's
that
cool.
much excitement because people were excited about this. Like I'm so blessed because that performance came out so cool, and I was so blessed that people liked it. That people liked it so much that the next day they were like, you know what I mean? Hey, your performance, hey, you know what I mean? So I was taking pictures and right in front of them, and I can see that the reps was asking me, hey, what's your name again? And then like she's like checking her phone trying to figure out who I am, and it's like funny, you know what I mean? I was like, man, this is really cool. So that was really exciting to
Awesome.
go through like that kind of process, you know what I mean? Yeah, I've never been through anything like that.
I think that's it's really cool, right? To to get recognition and to like have people compliment you on your performance. And how nervous were you like when you performed that night before?
Oh, I was so nervous. I was so nervous that there's a part of the song, like I don't know if you've heard of anybody of you or you. I'm pretty sure you have, but obviously, but the song "Greed" starts with a oh.
Okay, yeah.
And then I start singing, oh, and then I start singing, money don't buy anything.
Yeah.
Well, when we started performing, I literally just went into money don't buy, because I was just like so freaking nervous. And I really don't. I when I got there, I'm like, oh, we got this, we got this, we got this. And it was funny because um, I sat down. It was like a huge. It's like a really really nice theater. I don't know if anybody, if you ever get a chance to go, it's like really nice. It has beautiful acoustics. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I wonder who's going to perform. First act, like I kid you not, the very first act, it's like amazing singers, like, you know, like opera, you know what I mean? Like amazing sopranos, like performing a song written by like an amazing composer. And it was just like, I was just like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Oh yeah, I was like, oh, I just like started sweating. I was like all nervous. I got super nervous. And then it was funny because the next one was like good, and after a while, it's just like I was like, oh my god, I can't believe we're playing like last, pretty much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I asked Thomas. It was out of all people, Thomas DeSanto. What's up, Thomas? Out of all people, our violinist Thomas. I was like, hey, dude, like, are you nervous? And he's the person like that I would never expect to not be nervous was Thomas, and he was like. He was just like, he like looked at me all cool and calm. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, we deserve to be here. And I was like, oh man. Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, damn, that's pretty badass. You know what I mean? Because I would never expect Thomas out of all of them. He was just like, damn, we deserve to be here. And it was pretty cool. It actually kind of like made me a little bit less nervous. I was like, damn, okay, cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and then, you know, at least everything went well. Definitely. And I still got those, you know, made a lot of connections out there. And you're still getting everything out there with your connections. Cool. So I was gonna say we have some. Oh, you recently. I know you did like a collaboration, right? With the like on an album or something like that.
Yes. Oliver Shawn, the man. He's a really cool artist, blues artist, contemporary blues from the UK. Really good friend. Actually, he's the one that his label's the one that had invited me to go perform out there with this last tour that had gotten canceled in the UK. So shout out to Oliver and all of the indie, the real indie project. Friends of mine, a bunch of people that I know, really, that are really cool with me, that are really dear with me, that are part of the same networking circle, pretty much.
Gotcha.
They invited me to join their feature performer act or whatever it was. It's called the Real Indie Project. So what they did is they did this album featuring the Real Indie Project. So it's Oliver Shawn, and he put us all in there, kind of like as a feature. And it's really cool because I got to flex my vocal muscles because when I perform, when I write stuff, I mean, yeah, it's strong and there's some like really strong vocals, but in reality, I can do so much more with my vocals. That's what I write. You know what I mean? So it's not limited really, but I just can do different stuff because I've sang forever. So with this project, I had a chance to do really cool stuff where it's like, right, you got to do like fill-ins and things like that in the songs that usually would not be filled in even by me, or things that I wouldn't normally put in my music because of the style, things like that, you know, like where I put in a fill where it's like where I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like things that I wouldn't even put in my songs that as much, you know what I mean? So I got a chance to do stuff like that, to do some really cool bass backup vocals and some really cool different types of vocals in there that I had a chance to do. So that was really cool. And it was really, really fun.
That's cool. And you know, and I'll go back to the question on how that happened. But I also saw they're number one right now in the U.S. and the U.K. Right?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's like super nuts. I haven't checked it yet, but from what I understand, I haven't checked it today actually. But from what I understand, for the past like 16 days, this little indie album has been like number one in the UK blues charts, in the US and in the UK.
Damn.
Both. And then it was like number two on the new albums on Amazon, and then it was like number 52 on the actual UK charts, because they have like actual charts in the UK, and that those charts that we were on number 52, and then And then when it debuted on Billboard here in the U.S., it debuted at #8 on the
Wow.
Blue Charts. Yeah, I'm like ecstatic. I don't even know what to think. I'm like, wow, just I'm blown away. That's
What
like big.
what is the album called?
It's called The Devil Is Back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Devil is back. I'm gonna put it in the comment section so y'all can give it a listen.
Yep, yep. If not, you guys can go to my Facebook. I have it like there's like a post after post after post of that over and over, and on my Instagram as well.
Awesome. That's awesome. So now going back to that collaboration, how did you get that gig, or how did that come about?
Well, I actually this past year, this year and last year, I started doing a lot of little collaborations just because I've networked with some really, really cool people that are like, you know what I mean? That I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. You know what I mean? If you ever need anything, let me know. And they're like, yeah, I actually do. You know what I mean? I like your voice. Let's do something here. You know what I mean? I also did if you look on my Spotify and you'll find a feature that's like a rap song that I sang in. That I just did like backup vocals, some jazzy backup vocals in there. Then I wrote like a vocal chorus kind of thing, and it's like an America song, kind of BLM kind of thing. So it was pretty cool to kind of do something different like that. But with this one, my good friend Nikki Chris, she was like, hey, it's like, hey, they're looking for more vocalists. And I mentioned your name because I like your voice, blah blah blah. And I was like, hey, bring it, let's do it right away. I was like, yeah, let's do it. What's the harm in it? There's nothing but good that can come from it. So I did that.
Dude, that's wow. Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, and then now it's paying off. The rewards. Getting played, becoming getting played constantly and all that. Also, so you have that going on, and then I know that you went to Ecuador, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah, my little Ecuadorian adventure, man.
Honestly, how was it over there? Because with this whole pandemic thing, like, was it did you have to be careful, or
Well, you know what? It's funny because the way people look at the pandemic here in the U.S. compared to other countries, it kind of opened my eyes and it kind of blew my mind a little bit because we look at it very casually, like super casual. Even at the airports here, it's just casual, really. But well, what ended up happening is that I was going to go record out there. I was going to go record in Ecuador. I hooked up with a producer that I really liked and just thought the universe kind of like, okay, let me do this. And I kind of laid it in my path, and I'm very like that. If the universe kind of puts something for me that I feel it feels right, I usually go with it because it usually works out. You know what I mean? And it's kind of funny. I'm just like that. Like I think that like whenever you're doing something, whenever you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in life, kind of like all the doors kind of open up almost automatically. It's really cool, and I've experienced it before, so I kind of follow that motto a lot.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I went out there right away. I bought some plane tickets, and I, planned it out, and I went to Ecuador. Well, what I didn't realize was that I was kind of waiting. I was kind of double checking and trying to make sure that government, like different things in the government didn't change because they did do that sometimes where they would change stuff in the government and they don't let you go into a country or you automatically have to quarantine, which I've noticed sometimes, things like that. And I kept trying for like 6 days before. I kept trying to figure out, and trying to make sure that I was going to be okay when I get over there. Well, the airline said it was fine, everything. When I finally I got a little antsy before, and I decided to take a 24-hour test.
Yeah.
So I took the 24-hour test, and I didn't get the results before I left. So I mean, I felt completely fine. There was no problem, nothing. But when I got to Ecuador, it was kind of funny. This is where I'm talking about that. It's just like they view it so differently. Now, when we got off the plane to Ecuador, they put us in the like the area where everybody sits and everything, their holding area, and everybody. There's like no employee there that didn't have like a full hazmat suit. Like I'm talking about like Monsters Inc. straight up full hazmat. it was nuts. And I was like, wow, this is kind of scary. You know what I mean? Like right away, your mentality is different.
You just kind of
So
like, I don't want to get sick.
yeah, I was just like wearing like a little mask. You know what I mean? Everybody's like full on quarantine suit,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa. So what ended up happening is that they were like, hey, if you don't have a test right now that already tells me that you don't have COVID within the past 4 or 5 days, I think it was, like you can't, you have to go to quarantine. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I already took a test, I just don't have the results. So I was like, whatever, quarantine me, I don't care. Tomorrow I'll be fine. Um, I was like, tomorrow I'll be fine once I have the results. So we did that, and I ended up renting a hotel. It was like a really nice hotel, but I didn't care because I was just going to be there all night. Well, the results didn't come
Yeah.
in, and I was waiting, and I was like, what do I do? What do I do? Well, the engineer that was going to work with, producer, he's also an attorney out there. So he's like, hey, he's like, you know what? Just take another test. Like, whatever, just take another test.
Out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I took the second test, had to wait 24 hours again. So this is like day 3 in Ecuador, right? And I'm still at the same hotel, quarantine, everything.
Yeah.
So I get the results. And they come back positive for coronavirus, right? And I was like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? What's happening? I'm completely asymptomatic. I have no symptoms. I feel completely perfectly fine. And then, so I'm like freaking out. And then I get the results back from the other tests, and those results come back positive as well.
So you're
So,
like, what?
so I was like, oh, I guess I have coronavirus. I don't know. It was weird. So, so I have to like mandatorily stay quarantined another 7 days before I can even test again. So I was just kind of stuck there. So I had to change my flight, and then and pretty much the recording went to I wasn't able to record at all, which was like super important because I was on a deadline. I was trying to hit my Grammy deadline so I can submit for the Grammys. That's why I was like, let's do this. So I ended up not being able to submit anything this year for the Grammys because of that. But
Yeah.
once I was there, I waited the 7 days. I never felt sick. I felt fine the whole time. I ate really good food. I stayed in a hotel. Had like a $900 hotel bill for just being in quarantine.
You're just like,
Yeah, it was awful because I mean I had what do you call it? I already had paid for like room and board. I mean I
yeah.
already had paid for like somewhere where I was gonna stay and and different things. So I was like, it was just like a total complete extra expense of like $1,000. It was ridiculous.
That's
So
sucks. You didn't know. You were just like, you thought you were going there for a certain amount of days, record, get out of there. Turned out, you know,
oh yeah, I had to stay a bunch of extra days. I actually had to change my flight. Fortunately, American Airlines were pretty cool about it. They just changed it. They're like, okay, cool, let's change it. So they changed it like a few days later. So once I finally was able to take the test, I took the test and I came back negative. I even double checked with the labs and was like, hey, what's the chance that it was still contagious? They're like, no, you came out negative. Like
yeah.
that's it.
It went away. Kind of,
Run free, my child.
yeah.
they're like, you're good to go. So right in that moment, right on that day, I was like, okay, I'm out. Let me go out. So I just went touristing basically for like 3 days because I still had 3 days before the flight that I was going to go to. So I went and did the tourist thing, which was fun because I hadn't done that in a long time. But it was weird because I was like by myself. So
Wow, man, that's crazy. Well, that's a story definitely that you're gonna have to tell. But man, that is beyond pretty. Like you were just like you didn't expect to be there that long. So then I guess during your stay, how was did you get to go? I know you said you kind of went out and explored a little bit, right?
yeah.
How was like the food? Did you get was
Oh, food is so good. They're like, I think Ecuador is, from my understanding, what I was told is that Ecuador is like one of the biggest producers of shrimp for some reason. That's what they said. I don't know if that's true or not, but they had they had a bunch of shrimp. I had a lot of ceviche when I was out there, so it was really good,
I love.
really
I'm
good.
pretty sure. I mean, Ecuador is kind of off of the coast, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to be a nerd right now. I might, but I think they're off the coast. Um,
It's kind of like a little like a golf or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, but it was fun. I mean, like I said, the everything that was seafood was like really really fresh. Everything. Like I said, the ceviche was like above. It was so good. It was ridiculous.
that's cool, man. Well, let's see. So you did your Ecuador thing, and now you're back. I'm feeling better. That's good. Uh, so now what's your move for this time being. You know, any plans that you're looking at right now? Currently in the situation.
Well, yeah. I now that I now that I didn't submit to the Grammys, well, which was kind of cool. I'm still gonna be networking with the album that the blues album that I was part of. Hopefully, because I know it was submitted for Grammy for Grammy as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that and help out in that part because obviously if that is either if it's either nominated or it actually wins a Grammy, then like I'm pretty much winning a Grammy because I'm like featured artist on that. So I'm gonna definitely push that, which is kind of weird the way it worked out because I didn't even submit anything, and now I have like this open space to push that as well. So it's kind of weird. Maybe it's Oliver's time, I should say. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. So hey, I'm down for that. It's a great album and he's a great art. He's a really really cool guy, and the label's really cool. And like I said, he just invited me out of the blue. He's like, hey, let's tour. He invited me to tour in the UK, and he also his label also had invited us to tour in India.
Oh wow.
Yeah, with VH1 India. So that was pretty cool. So those are the kind of things that are in the work. I don't know if that's still gonna happen because of the pandemic. Hopefully by next year, the beginning of next year's quarter, things will be a little bit better, and that might still happen. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, like I said, man, I think other countries are recovering faster than different than others. So I mean, you might be able to go to some countries, maybe. Hopefully, things get better by the next year. Um, but yeah, man, that's awesome that you have all these plans. I mean, um, and your music is still thriving, right? I'm sure you're getting lots of plays off of that.
Yeah, definitely.
My personal favorite song is Mama Bear, so I love that one.
Cool.
If you haven't checked out Mama Bear, you should check. Go to Damian Wyldes Music, find all his stuff there. Yeah, man. I mean, definitely, that's awesome that you're keeping your music going. And you got plans for the future, even though we're in this type of situation. What's your take on? Definitely, the music industry is struggling. As a full time singer songwriter, it's a little tough to make your cash the way you usually do. What is there any other ideas that you've been trying to create in the time in the situation, different things to
You know
do?
what? In a way, it's bad, and in a way, it's good because, for example, if like as an artist now, like if I have to do a if I want to do, because I'm itching already to do a performance for a while already, but I've been waiting for some weird reason. I've been waiting because I've been wanting to do one with the full band again, even if we're just online, like a full band performance.
Yeah.
Like I just miss playing. We practice, and it feels great, to have them back. We've only practiced a few times, so
Yeah.
but doing a performance online and having people probably like tip you on the different apps like Cash App and go on what is it Vimeo, whatever it is, like
Helped out, by the way, like doing the little live performances.
really good, really good. That's actually where I'm going to because like there's people that regularly would not come to see you at a show because they're like literally in a different state, or you know what I mean. So you have like kind of a broader reach in that sense. Where, yeah, it's like anybody in the U.S. and internationally that that wants to listen to you can hook up to that show and tip you even. You know what I mean? So it becomes a whole different thing where like your audience, your expanded audience now can watch a show and it's kind of cool. I think it's cool. I still don't. I mean, personally,
Yeah,
I'm very much about the.
I mean,
I'm very much about the. What's up?
I was like, and yeah, like you're saying about how you get a broader audience. It's kind of like a tour if you think about it. You're playing, you're showcasing yourself in different countries, different parts of the world. Um, so that's the beauty of the technology. But again, we do miss, the live performing where we can be next, with our friends and, be able to hug each other and all that. Uh,
Yeah. That's the only
yeah,
thing that's really missing. That like that real feel. You know what I mean? Because me personally, I'm very much about my vibration and energy and what I give out, what I give to like my audience. So when I perform, sometimes I mean, well, every time when I perform, I like let my soul out. So people can see and that vibration. When you're in person, you can feel it. You can feel the pain in my songs. You know? That's like
yeah,
the whole point. You know what I mean? So it's like without that, it's really, I mean, you can still convey it in either way that you interpret it correctly, and you can still see it online, but it's
yeah,
not exactly the same. In person, you can
right
feel it.
there.
You know? Yeah, you can actually feel it. So it's a little bit different, but either way, it's like a good. It's a give and a take with it. You know what I mean? So it's like there's good and bad in both.
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I was thankful to at least play my first gig a couple weeks ago, and I mean, even though it's a gig and all, we still have all these restrictions, and it's not the same. You gotta stay, separated and all that. But definitely, like again, feeding off of the energy of the crowd, that was probably the best feeling to have because I hadn't played a gig since like March, and
Yeah.
we're in August, right? So, well, going in September, yeah, August. So, I mean, it was a while. I was doing recording, doing some online lessons and just trying to stay as busy as I could. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, man, definitely the live concert, playing live is something that we all miss, and we hope to eventually get back into once things kind of settle down. Um, but yeah, man. So do you have anything else, any shout outs that you would like to do? To
Yeah. Shout out to the whole band, um, to Jose and Thomas and Paulina. I actually saw Paulina today. Just coincidentally, we bumped into each other at the Cracker Barrel, which is weird. We're like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" Like, I don't know. I never come here. Me either. That's totally weird. But it was just one of those weird Friday things. I don't know.
yeah,
But just shout out to everybody. And hopefully I mean, we're going to be performing on the 4th. So next month on the 4th at the Rock House.
when is that performance again? So like our locals can know that
Yeah,
about.
it's at the Rock House, and I believe we're going to be playing kind of early, like 8-ish, something like that, which is not too bad. And nobody's used to going out anymore, so that should be a good time.
Kidding, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I hope you have a great gig then, and let's us musicians are gonna stay strong and keep pushing through these tough times. Definitely. Um, but yeah, man. Well, I definitely want to thank you again for coming on the stream and being a part of my new series that I'm doing now.
pleasure's all mine, man.
Yeah, man. And I appreciate it. Thank you for telling your stories. And again, to all our viewers, check out Damian Wyldes music. He's got all his music on all the on the streaming platforms. You also have a Facebook, right? You got Instagram, all the goods, right?
Yep. Yeah, Bandcamp, everything.
Yeah, right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so check out his music if you haven't, and feel free to to reach out to him if you have any requests for any
Oh
songs
yeah, yeah.
or
Hit me
live
up. I,
streaming.
I actually
You
answer my stuff. Like I'm the one on actually on social media, answering my social media. Like I don't have somebody doing it. So feel free to hit me up. I'll say hi.
Cool. Well, again, David, thanks, man, for joining my stream, and
Awesome.
I wish you the best. And later, Anakin.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you, man.